PMacMovies back for a coffee talk video. We don't do these too often anymore, but there's just some things I've been wanting to talk about that I haven't. Been keeping my mouth shut. These videos harm the channel. As far as the channel growing, these videos actually harm the channel, but I just can't keep these thoughts to myself. It's too important right now. I do have a little coffee here, which I haven't really been drinking coffee much due to my digestion issues and things like that, but it's hard to kind of come up with a place to talk here. It is the 4th of July. So happy 4th of July. I mean, that's part of why I'm making this video, I think, because this is supposed to be a day where we celebrate freedom and things like that. These types of videos trigger people. I think, you know, if you go into it open-minded, it definitely helps. Listen to what I have to say. Understand that I'm coming from a place where I'm talking about what I think and what I believe. I'm not trying to get anyone else to believe anything. And I also have to be careful about certain words that I use. There's certain words that you can't say, you know, you get flagged on here, stuff like that. So, you know, it makes it difficult to talk about certain things. But I didn't really even say much. In March, when all this stuff started with the C, I just posted some links, and it triggered a fair amount of people. There was, you know, negative responses and things like that. I think it was March, maybe April. I think it was probably March, though. And since then, I've talked to many people. I don't know anybody who's passed away. I do know a few people who had, you know, positive tests and were sick, and I've heard of a few people, but nobody who passed away. And I talked to, you know, with my job, I talk to a lot of people, and I talk to them about it too, you know, how it's affecting their lives. And nobody knows anybody who passed away. I may have heard of it a few times, like older people at like nursing homes. But nothing abnormal. Nothing that if you just lived your life, you wouldn't know that there's any sort of issue besides the restrictions that have been put on people. And that is definitely affecting people, all the restrictions. So if there were no restrictions and there were no TVs or internet spreading certain things, nobody would know that there's any difference. People wouldn't be like, oh my God, all these people are getting sick and all these people are passing away and all this. No, there's none of that. And I know from a bunch of people I talked to through this channel and other states and stuff, same thing. Same thing, you know, there's no difference besides the restrictions. And when I made those videos there months back, there were people that never commented on my channel before, and all of a sudden they were commenting saying, oh, this and that. I'm not saying, you know, I have no idea what was going on with those people, but I just find it strange that a bunch of people who never comment on my videos start coming out of the woodwork and saying, you know, this and that and the other thing about, you know, seeing this and that. And so I don't know, people that I don't know. I mean, anybody that I talk to that I actually know, it's, there's nothing different other than restrictions. It's been 4 months now. It's been 4 months. I came out with that stuff 4 months ago, and still we're at a place where nobody sees anything differently besides the restrictions. What does that tell you? And I got backlash. It's been 4 months, and I got a lot of backlash. I'm not going to get any apologies from anybody, because people are going to believe what's on the TV no matter what, if what presents to them in their normal lives demonstrates that it's accurate or not. It doesn't matter. They are going to believe what's on the TV, because if you do get to the point where you're doubting this thing, you pretty much have to take a look at your whole life, everything that you've ever learned. If they could make a lie this big and there's that many people in on it, you have to question everything that you've ever learned since you were a kid, and people just can't do that. And I don't know how they do it as far as how they do it across the board here, where you have every government, celebrities, athletes, you got everything, and they're just all saying the same things, which is strange. Why aren't people getting out of line? And then they have, the big T-man in there pissing off everybody and creating more division. You got a lot of division being created. It's all, if you take a look at this thing, it's like I'm talking to people who collect movies and like movies. You can see the storyline being made. You could see when states started opening back up, they shouldn't open back up yet. They shouldn't open back up. You knew the part of the story later on was going to be those places that opened up, they're having all these cases now. You could see it months ago, and now it's happening. You can see the storyline. It's like a movie where you see a few foreshadowings, you know what's coming. There doesn't have to be any proof. There doesn't have to be, it's just, you get a few people, you get a few people on TV talking about it, and it is the truth. And it's really hard to talk to, how could they, how could all these people be lying about it? How could this person be lying? Why would this, trying to figure all that out, you're playing a tough game there, but, and I have speculations on how some of it works, but, it's kind of pointless. You see that it's not what they're saying it is. You see it. It's very clear, and it doesn't matter how they're doing it, but they're doing it. People don't trust themselves. People will say, I look to the experts. I look to the doctors. I look to the scientists. Well, as far as that goes, I take a look at everybody's had jobs. Everybody's worked. Most people have worked. And your boss has things that they tell you to do. Well, in a lot of jobs, it's not your boss coming up with what you're being told to do. And it's not even their boss. It's somebody who's many, many levels above them. This has to be done this way. This has to be done this way. This has to be done this way. This has to be, and you're the one who has to implement it. But nobody, if you talk to your boss about it, they're going to be like, well, it's not my decision. I'm told this is how we have to do it. So these people who are on TV, who are, scientists and doctors and all this, what is the likelihood that are they ever going to step out of line with what they're supposed to be coming up with? Or are they going to put doctors out there who come up with something different than they're supposed to say, different than the narrative? I mean, people just don't think this stuff through. You don't think those doctors and scientists are working for somebody? I have degrees and credentials and stuff like that. I can't just say whatever I want against the company line. I have to, I won't have a job anymore. So things can be easily controlled. It's not hard to control what research comes out or what scientists talk about in the mainstream and stuff. It's not that hard. You just tell them, this is what you're supposed to focus on. This is what you're supposed to talk about. If you don't come up with these results, well, you're looking for another job. It's not hard to control people as far as that. It's just not. I mean, you can see it from your jobs. Most of you, if you're told like you need to do it this way, and you do it another way, and they talk to you about it, you need to do it this way, and you keep going against that, well, you're going to be out of a job. Sorry. So it is not hard as far as that stuff. And you do have a fair amount of doctors and stuff disagreeing, but they're not going to be the ones that are out on the mainstream. They're going to be, that stuff's going to be more covered up. But they do let some of it out to create division. People arguing back and forth, argue, and that's I'll probably get some of those people commenting here. Argue. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying, look at what's going on. It's like it's very, very clear. And they've come out with articles about, like a tiger having the C and pets having the C. And they just come out with stupid stuff just to make fun of people. Like, oh, we'll come out with, people are going to buy it. So like, let's come out with this. Oh, you have to distance yourself from your pets too. Because they'll just come out with stuff to literally make fun of people, and people believe it. It's just, it's amazing. It's amazing. And like I said at the beginning of this video, these are just things that I need to talk about, and I know that it's going to hurt the channel because you get people coming in here, I see, Blu-ray.com and stuff like that. You see how people talk. There's not many people questioning things. Like, it's, you got to be scared out there. You got to be really vigilant. These people not wearing masks are selfish pricks. They're horrible people because they don't want to wear masks and all this stuff. And they're the reason why the numbers are going up. They're the reason. Well, guess what with these numbers? They can do whatever they want with these numbers. First of all, who says what the test is even testing for? Secondly, who's keeping track? These companies with all this power, if they're behind all this, these big corporations and everything else, or whatever sort of entities behind all this, who's going to stop them from doing whatever they want with the numbers? It's just, information is so controlled, and people are taught from an early age to just, this is what it is. You regurgitate it back to me, you get a good grade. You go to school, you get taught things, and it's not about, well, why did this happen, or like what led to this, or like maybe this didn't happen the way that we said. Like critical thinking type of questions, you don't get those. It's like, it's just like basically fact-based questions, like this is what happened, you regurgitate it back to me. It's this is the way it is, this is the way it was. People are just taught to regurgitate back, trust authority, regurgitate it back. Just trust authority, don't look into anything. Well, there are a lot of YouTube channels and other people looking into things that don't make sense, including something that is quite interesting, and I think it is something that's it'll definitely make you think, is the architecture of there's some channels showing kind of some ancient architecture and how there's no way with the technology that we have today that we could create some of these buildings and some of these structures that they created who knows how long ago. So it's questioning the narrative. It's showing that what we're taught just isn't true. There's no way that they could have built this based on the history that we're given. And those channels are pretty interesting. They definitely make you think. So people need to question things. We are losing a lot of... Another thing is, a lot of people who watch this, live in the U.S. It's our 4th of July. It's our Independence Day and all those things. A country and a government cannot grant you freedom. That's a God-given natural right. Freedom is a God-given natural right, which cannot be given or taken away by a country, by a government. It's something really important to remember. And that's why, that's part of why they get you really connected to nationalism. Like, oh, we're from this country and we're against this. It's not like that. Like, I've traveled, I've been to different countries. There's good people and bad people in those countries, but it's mostly people just wanna work and be with their family and get left alone. All this us versus them stuff, it's all created. Like, most people, the high majority of people, just want to be able to have their needs met and be left alone. Well over 95% of people, probably over 99% of people. And, some of those values have been influenced because of, mind manipulation and stuff, greed and all those things that are, again, kind of programmed into us through the TV and things like that. Some obvious programming that I've seen firsthand, like, being in another country is, certain programs and stuff that people in poorer countries see about, like, Americans and stuff like that. Like, is it really, is everybody, like, rich here? Like, they'll make it seem like every white person, people in America, they're all rich. They're all, they got everything. They're doing real well. But when you're actually here, that's not the case. There's a lot of people struggling. There's a lot of people struggling to get by. There's a lot of addiction. There's a lot of bad stuff going on. But what goes on the TV screen ends up what people believe. And we just have to kind of learn critical thinking, because it isn't given to us in school. It's the opposite of that. You have to use your awareness and your seeing in your everyday life that things don't work the way that you're kind of told that it does. That's what I've seen. It doesn't work the way that you're told that it does. And I guess depending on your jobs and depending on, I'm the type of person that I tend to be pretty quiet socially. I tend to observe, do a lot of observing. Not super talkative, more kind of to myself and things like that. And so I observe a lot, and you need to be observant, because you'll see that things just don't add up, and then you start looking more towards, or why doesn't this add up? And I've pretty much been doing that over I think it's been about 8 or 9 years. I've really been researching this stuff, and it's taken me into a lot of different avenues, and I hope that people are able to watch this video with an open mind and understand that this thing has been 4 months, and if it is what we are led to believe, from the box, from the Dumbo box, everybody would know people directly affected by the health consequences of this thing, and it would be obvious for them to put these regulations in place that are out there. There would have to be serious health consequences that everybody would see, and if that's not happening, you really, for your own, if it's not what's happening, You know there's another agenda. And to remain ignorant of that other agenda is to put yourself and others in a very, very difficult situation, because this thing is going to, based on the storyline that they've created, this thing is going to ramp up more. It is possible that we see more people actually getting illnesses. And it's not the reason why we're told, but it is possible, because there's just various things that could be happening with all sorts of toxic cleaners being used, face masks causing people not to get the proper oxygen that they need, social distancing causing increased depression, loneliness. There's a lot of things that can lead to illness, stress, things that people are going through right now. When the weather does change, when it does become colder again, you could see a lot of people getting flu-like symptoms because, lack of sunlight, vitamin D, ramping things up, people being concerned financially, people being concerned about not being around loved ones, and like I said, being deprived of oxygen, being not getting out enough because they're afraid to get out. But this thing is gonna be ramped up, and it's gonna be people are gonna be begging for things to be back to normal, and and they're gonna give you a solution for that. And that is where the storyline appears to be heading at this point. But it's just interesting, all the division that's been created. People, the TV presents it as people hating each other. Different, the big T man causes a lot of division. Like I said, the big T, you fired, just says, obvious. It's such. You guys watch movies. If you watch wrestling or whatever, for a person to be a heel in wrestling, they just say shit to piss people off, to piss off a certain portion of people. So it's a love him or hate him guy. The division is there. It's very obvious that's what he's in there for. That dude's not making any, decisions. He's there to play a part. It is very, very apparent. He would not say and do a lot of the things he does unless he was trying to get people going. And it is very, very blatant. And it's just, you can see these different players, these political players, their little roles in the thing, their little act, their little script that they're supposed to follow. It's very, very apparent if you look at it from that perspective. You got to open your eyes. I mean, it's been 4 months. It's been 4 months. And it's going to get... And it's going to keep going. It's going to keep getting dragged out longer and longer. And it's going to get ramped up. If financially you have been okay until now, they're going to start pushing people farther. They have to push people farther to get their agendas met. And the agenda isn't about the election either. It's not just a Democrat Republican thing. If you think that, you're missing the point. To put everybody through this psychological trauma, that's what this has been. This has been a trauma. This is trauma-based manipulation, trauma-based mind control. You put everybody through a trauma. You get people emotional, more easy to manipulate. People have been traumatized by this. This is something that's traumatized pretty much the entire world. This is very serious stuff. It's not just, the Democrats are doing this to get Trump out. Oh boy. they put dumb conspiracy theories out there too. There's a lot of dumb crap, a lot of stupid shit. And then they put different information out there, like, oh, some person gives this information. It's all about confusion. It's about keeping you confused, keeping you stressed, keeping you down, keeping you fearful. That's what this thing's about. And what they don't want is people to say, enough is enough. We're not participating anymore. It's not about violence is definitely not the answer. It's about saying enough is enough. I no longer comply with this BS shit. That's the only possible positive solution that I can see in this, because arguing with people isn't going to work. Fighting with people isn't going to work. Doing dumb shit isn't going to work. It's about if everybody, and I don't see this happening, but you know, if people just said enough is enough, this is BS. I'm not doing this shit anymore. And they went about living their lives the way we did before all this stuff. I hope this doesn't lead to arguments and stupid shit like arguments and you know, people talking shit about me. I'm coming from a place because I care about this stuff. So even if you think I'm wrong and I'm full of shit and all this stuff, I'm coming from a place where these are the things that I believe. I think it's really important to talk about this. I don't care if I lose all my subscribers. I need to put this out there. I need to share my thoughts. And if I can at least get a few people thinking and a few people saying, you know, maybe people start talking to their relatives or their friends and family about this, and maybe a few of them start questioning things too. And that is a bigger gain than me losing my subscribers and me and this channel going down the shithole. This is more important than that. Way more important than that. This is about spiritual stuff that I haven't even gotten into. This is something that could go lifetimes for us. The rest of our spiritual existence could be affected by this, and that's a whole nother conversation. But I think it's really important. Like I said, I'm coming from a place because I care, and I'm not coming from any sort of ulterior motive or like trying to spread some bullshit. Like, I'm not coming from any sort of negative I'm not coming from like some sort of negative path or negative mindset or like trying to spread anything that I don't think's true. It's like, this is really something that I care about, something that's important to me, and I want things to get better. So I hope that you guys understand. I hope you guys stick by the channel, and I hope I get some positive feedback from this too, because that kind of makes me feel like I can keep making videos like this. The negative people tend to be more loud about their thoughts, more forthcoming about their thoughts. How dare you? How dare you? So, yeah, I think that's it. I can't put everything in a little half-hour video. I've just touched on a small portion of things. But I hope it gives you guys some things to think about, and I really hope that you do leave me some feedback about some of your thoughts about what I talked about here, because we're seeing things escalating, even here during the summer, and it's going to keep escalating until we say no more. But I don't really see that happening, unfortunately. But we can't give up. We'll see you guys next time on PMac Movies.